Unsigned518. I'm here with Max of the Airdrifters. How's it going, man?
Good, man. Max Lee, that's me.
We just met a couple minutes ago.
That's true.
And, I always say, like, this first segment is the introduction. And for the most part, bands that I have on, I just met a couple minutes ago. Yeah. So, like, the introduction aspect of it is very easy because, we are meeting in fucking real time. So I guess, what I usually do with my guests, I give you the opportunity to tell your story, with music as far back as you want to go, start the story wherever you want, kind of leading us up to current day.
Totally. So it's kind of a long story. So I kind of want to give the abridged version. And if you have any questions, you want to go back, we can go further. But as Max Lee, at one point I decided, like, wow, I have all these songs and what am I going to do with them? And I'd been working in a couple other projects. So I started the solo project, inspired by a lot of stuff. And then I was like, okay, well, now we got to, these are really cool. People seem to want to hear us do it. So how do we go and bring that to the world? And then basically it started to shift. And that's when the idea for the Airdrifters was born. Because it was like, okay, well, how do we make this more collaborative? I still want to use these songs. And like, it kind of got to this point where we started playing live. And when we started playing live, that's when the Airdrifters was kind of born. So like I did this record 2018 called Colors of Noise. It's just like a Max Lee album. But that album's kind of the genesis of the Airdrifters in a way. And then as we started playing out, that's when, the Thought of the Hour record came out. That was like, all right, we're going to start making records as a group. And that's when other people started putting in, and I'd been in bands before that, but I had so much issues with keeping it going that this was at least something that I could just keep pushing, without any interference or no worries about any aspect of why I couldn't keep doing this thing, that I loved so much, So that's, I guess, the basics of it, And basically just had a bunch of horrible failures that broke my heart, that were totally out of my control. And this was the one thing that I could actually be like, okay, nobody could stop this. This is just what I'm doing, And I've had a lot of great people push this project forward. Like, the list is long, and it's been the coolest experience so far.
And so when you say this project, I know, like, if you've heard any of my episodes, like I do very little research,
Yeah.
I just kind of like, I like it to be, like I said, an organic conversation. Yeah. And in like our DMs today, when I was like, how many members in the band? And they were like, like 10. But it'll just be me coming. And so I guess I want to hit upon that.
Yeah, of course.
When you say like 10, is there like a rotating cast of band members? Is it like, how is the dynamic between you and the band members?
So I kind of like to say, like, everyone's in the band, because like the music is such a reflection of life, and everyone I've ever met, and every story that, like, every kind of situation kind of weaves its way in. I'm like the traveling poet who's like sitting in the corner of the bar, like writing something on a napkin. And so it's like I kind of view the person or who's over conversation over here that inspires me. I'm like, okay, I want to write this into a song or whatever. Like, they're part of it, in a way. But like, that's like an esoteric version. The whole idea of the Airdrifters was like, okay, yeah, I can do anything I want myself. I could play all the instruments. I could mix it and master it and do it myself, because I got to that point through this just like wild story that I was kind of telling you about, where I had no other choice. But once I accomplished that, I was like, okay, but what can I do by bringing people in, and what can I do to not touch it, and how can I not control it? So then I, like, for instance, even my mixing people, like, okay, the whole idea with the Thought of the Hour record was, I'm going to send these songs out to my friends, and I want them to just mix these songs, and I'm going to give them no guidance whatsoever. I'm like, here's, 1,000 tracks, and just like take as long as you want. And, obviously I paid them for their services and whatever, but like they kind of still did me a huge favor, because what they did was worth way more than whatever I gave them financially, because it was creative and like genius what they would pull out. I'd be like, I actually recorded that, like I heard stuff in there when they finished it. I was like, did I do that? Stuff like that. So yeah, like my buddy Greg Castro, he's an amazing mixing engineer. Jim Romano, AJ Natoli, some of the guys that did the mixing on that record, I view them as part of the band, just in the fact that they kind of crafted the songs, and we still play them that way. It's like, oh yeah, they deleted this guitar part and made this thing go here, and we play the record. So it's like that's a collaboration within itself. Not to mention the people that actually physically have come in and recorded and done parts on different things, which is like, from all the people that have played at a show. But if we have a show going on, it's really like the bat signal goes up, and like, whoever's available and knows the stuff, and I have that kind of I'd say rotating cast, I guess, but they're a bunch of musicians in my life, and whoever kind of answers the call, we go for it. There's been some stability in like people who have stayed with the band for longer. People will like go on a journey and then come back, but I like to be very open with it. Like one of my buddies, guitar player Alex Terzakis, who played with us for several years, went on. He has his own projects. He's doing different things. He kind of started a whole amazing, community of musicians. Just like, it's great to see people grow and do what they want to do. Right. And I support everyone that I've ever worked with to like see what they get inspired to do, because I feel like that's the whole point.
And so, this goes back, you said 2018 was when you first put your first record out?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the genesis of the Airdrifters, I'd say, around 2018, because that's when we started playing as a unit, and those songs are really like the foundation of what has grown into the Airdrifters. I mean, I'd been active in a lot of different projects before that, but that's kind of a different story, I'd say.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, we're going to listen to a couple of songs, but before we get to that, once you've gotten everything, where you've gone from like solo stuff into like Airdrifters, and songs have like fully come together, and like now you're putting or you're doing live shows and
Right.
whatnot. Like what year is that when everything is where you're like, this is where it is?
I'd say right now. Right now is this amazing moment with
Cool.
the band where we are kind of forming into a new kind of unit. It's kind of always been evolving, but I think we're getting to a point where we can collaborate with other artists and other groups really well. And I think that's when things start to get interesting. And it's just basically, if you think about music as an art form, not just music, like, okay, I'm going to, take a painting. It's like sometimes I'll do this. It's like I'm trying to write something and I don't know what to do, so I'm going to go and mess around with the paintbrush for a little while, and then I'll come back and be like, all right, maybe that unlocked, that kind of did the thing. It's not like it was writer's block. It's like it was writer's confusion, and that cleared up what I was even trying to say about this thing, right? So I feel like that applies, like the idea of writing a song can also apply to how like a project is even organized. So I think we're in this phase where it's like anything really can go, anything can really work here. And I think once you get there and you kind of see this ambiguity around, what's good, or you kind of get over your own judgment of what you're creating to the point where you can kind of be a little bit more open to what you like, or even being in a place where like, I don't need to like this at all, and I'm still gonna love it because it was created by me. It's like that self-loving energy is kind of fresh. I feel like I've been really critical, really, like getting into like the micro detail, unless I have one of my friends telling me that it's good or like they mixed it, then I can kind of trust that a little bit better. Be like, okay, if they think it's fine, it's fine. But like for myself, I think we're getting into that spot where it's a little bit more open. It's been really helpful for kind of just incorporating new dimensions into the music. And I think that's why this new record that we're working on is going to be really interesting, because it just incorporates so much stuff that, you know, I personally, to a new level that I personally wouldn't have been able to do alone. And I think that that's when things get really, really kind of magical.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we should hear a song.
Sounds good.
So what song do we want to put on?
I'd say we could start with this cool song called Robot Wants to Cut Your Corn. It's the first single from this new record, which the title, I'm going to let y'all know now. I haven't told anyone yet what it's going to be, but I'm actually going to call the record Paint the City. And the first song, the first single is Robot Wants to Cut Your Corn, which is this funny song, super weird track that one of my band members was just like in love with the song. And I kind of was like, you know, we have so many songs and we rehearse so many things. And, you know, he was just like, you know, Tony, my drummer, he's like, at the time, man, this song, I love playing this song. I'm like, really? But you know, for me, that was this magical thing. It's like, well, let's do it. Let's focus on it. And so we got it happening, and got mixed over at Outlier Studios. It's a really great place. And yeah, it's an interesting song, and especially the cool prog crazy part at the very end, which is, you got to stay for that part if you give it a listen.
All right, cool. Well, let's check out Robot Wants to Cut Your Corn, the Airdrifters. We'll be right back to talk some more with Max.
There's a girl listening to a New York station. She was hearing stuff, getting her down, robot sound. Those stations didn't have what she was looking for. Then she heard something she never heard before. That a robot wants to cut your cord. That a robot wants to cut your cord. Robot wants to cut your, robot wants to cut my, robot wants to cut your cord. Is that cool? Is that cool? Is that cool? Is that cool? Oh no, or she let them defeat us. Well, life was saved by rock and roll. There was something she never thought could be. Front of her eyes, not a scream. Let me tell you, my friend, sweat and blood can never pretend. Have you heard a robot wants to cut your cord? A robot wants to cut your cord. Robot wants to cut your, robot wants to cut my, robot wants to cut your cord. Is that cool? Is that cool? Is that cool?
right, that was Robot Wants to Cut Your Corn, the Airdrifters. And so that single is out, and you said there's, there was a second single off of that, and then a
Yes.
third one that recently came out with a video. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that right? All right.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me about the releases off the upcoming album?
So yeah, we just put out Ember Scriptures and Eternal Flames this year, that record. But that was kind of a bunch of songs from last year, so it's not really this year's record, even though it's confusing because it came out this year. So like Robot is the first single from Paint the City, and and that name has a bunch of history behind it, with the lore. But I guess the second track that came out is this song called Would You Believe Me If I Told You I Didn't Need You Anymore, which is kind of a long song title, maybe, but I kind of into long song titles. So if you really like something, if you like a long song title, then is it really long? It's just a song title, right? So yeah, that song is very different. Robot's got, like, you guys just heard it, it's got like that uppity groovy thing going on, and it's all about that girl. It's kind of got that Velvet Underground vibe, maybe. Would You Believe Me If I Told You I Didn't Need You Anymore is kind of an angular shift. It's very country in a way. It's got like a country punk aesthetic, I like to call it. That song is inspired by like a Nashville kind of sound. But like, even though I come from like crazy, weird, experimental, psychedelic punk stuff, to be into country music is a real stretch. But I found some really interesting stuff in there, I guess, that inspired me. So I kind of mixed that soup up, and that's kind of what that song came out of, and went through a bunch of things. I don't even know why that song was made, but it was. And that was mixed actually by my neighbor at the time, Justin Richowski, who's like a really good guy. And you guys got to go listen to it. It's just like, he did such a good job with it. And he's in an amazing band too called EMP in the Aftermath. Singing drummer, awesome dude. And just does so much for the music community around here. And I was really honored that he was down to work on the song. So, that one was a really special track. And again, country punk, like, what is that? I don't know if that exists. Maybe now it does. So that's fun. And then the song that just came out, the third single, and the covers for these singles are really weird. And they kind of play into like this, I guess, story about the record. I kind of do this weird thing with single album covers and trying to like tell a story that plays into like the final album cover, because it's like, I like albums. I think albums are like a thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and they should have a story that like somehow, I feel like writing a good album is like writing a book. And, there tends to be a lot more to it than you get.
Yeah, each song's a chapter, but like
something like that.
You want to put just as much focus into the song, but you don't want to forget the feel of the album.
Like something else.
I'm with that. And like, nothing against singles either. Like,
no way.
Like, they're different. Or EPs, Like
EP
an
is
EP
great.
could be a collection of things that have nothing to do with each other.
That's true.
You could just be like, here's 4 fucking songs that I didn't release, but
100%.
But like an album, you're right. Like the sanctity of an album. All right,
There's
sorry,
something to it, right?
There
Not
absolutely is, and like the song order and
Yeah.
like, all that, the way it ties in. You're right. It's like
Yeah,
a book.
It's
If
and then
it's out
'cause-
of order. It's
but
weird.
the cool thing about a book, and if you ever try and write something like that, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't get shown. Like I feel like you have to burn ideas to find good ones. Like I'll write a bunch of stuff, and what ends up on the album is just what ends up getting put out is really what rose to the top of that. But again, especially earlier on, like, I'd pick things that make no sense next to each other. And even you could say that these singles don't make sense next to each other. Like, if you listen to them, like, sonically or even genre-wise, if you try to analyze it, it might not make sense. But to me, somehow there is a story that, like, links it together. And I think it can be found. So, yeah. And it's really about the story that you're telling. But I totally agree that, like, there's no rules. Like, you don't have to do it, but everyone tells you, like, in music promotion these days, like, oh, you should be putting singles out, show your project is live and everything, you know?
And I mean, that all depends on what your goal is, though, you know?
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
if you have, like, a goal where you want to fit into this
Right.
thing that'll get you to the next level,
Right.
get you to the next level, then yes, there are things that you... But, like, if you're in it more for the art and the enjoyment, that's
Right.
the thing about having all these tools that we have,
Yes.
is that you don't have to do all the shit that you don't want to do.
It
You
should-
can literally do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like the balance. Like, I recommend to people, like, you know, do what makes you feel comfortable. And then do what doesn't make you feel comfortable. Like, in separate blocks of time, just to test yourself. Like, this is exactly what I want to do. And that could be being super visible. It could be being invisible. It's different for everyone. What
And I
makes
think you
comfortable.
need to be able to know what that is,
Yes.
before you start fucking around with like the nuances and everything else. Like,
So
what
true.
is your goal?
Yeah,
You know, like,
that's
what
true.
is your goal? Like,
That's so true.
I'm in, like, for instance, like, I'm in a band, and our goal is literally just to like play out around here, you know, 10, 12 times a year,
Right.
and write songs and record them. And but like, we don't want to, we don't want to tour.
Yeah.
We don't want to go anywhere else. You know,
Right.
like, we don't want a record label. You know, we don't want to get signed. We don't
Yeah.
want anybody telling us what to do.
Definitely not that.
Right. But like some younger bands and artists, like, you know, you need to get into that stream of things to
Yeah.
get to where you want to go. So like, once you know where you want to go, then figure out how to get there. A lot of people do the opposite.
That's very true.
They're like, how do I get famous? And
It's
you're
the
like,
option
Is that
house.
really what you want? You
Yeah.
know?
Not fame. It's not being rich. You
Right.
know, for me, for us, Airdrifters and Vibes, it's like, you know, if we could, you know, be on the road, like, that sounds really interesting. Let's go here. Let's bring our music to people.
Right.
Like, I want people to hear this music. I mean, a lot of love went into making it, you know. It's like, but at the same time, sometimes I like to vanish. I'm not even really like a person who loves to talk and do a bunch of things, but then like I feel the pressure of like, well, if anyone wants to, like, I know the music's important. I don't know why I was even like compelled to do this in the first place. So like I feel a duty to like share it. So then like, you know, but I also like to vanish for a while. Like, there's no reason to put out 1,000 singles, and anyone's advice on what is going to be your version of success,
Right. It's different for everybody.
you know, and it
But
can't even get you there.
can, in 2025, like, you can do that.
You can.
Like, in, you know, 2000 or 1995 or back, like,
Wasn't even an option.
to get your music out there, you had to do what someone told you to do.
Right.
And like, you had to be at someone's beck and call. You were like controlled by someone.
Right.
You couldn't just say, I'm a fuck off for 2 months.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to do anything. Will I come back? Maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, but you couldn't do that because someone's like, no, we need you. And like, so for better or for worse.
Yeah.
But again, it's figuring that out, and you have that figured out. So
I don't know, dude.
you
Maybe.
do, because you've said it out loud.
Yeah, I
you
guess
said,
so.
this is what I want. You said,
Yeah.
I want to be able to go on the road when I want to.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to disappear when you want to.
Yeah.
Like, that's manifesting it.
I
You
guess
said
so.
it out
Yeah.
loud. Like,
That's exactly it. And just being able to create freely, like,
right.
it's so important, because I think the function of art is expression, and when that's being changed, you know, you have to find out what's important, what the essence of it is, because it's like, I personally really like advice and I like perspective, like, but I also have this like vision that's very clear. So those two things can easily get friction. And I think you find over time how to be guided and allow your vision to exist. And like, that is a really cool place. And that's kind of, you know, Airdrifters is kind of like, oh, we're gotta go with this. But this wasn't exactly what we were
that's like you
planning on
just said,
doing.
Like
But it's still
You
great.
said taking advice. Like, that's like the difference between
Yeah.
somebody telling you what to do
Yes.
and taking advice.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So
You
go, that
decide-
resonates.
You decide, hey, I like that piece of information. I'm gonna
Yes.
put that in my quiver and
Right.
move on. But like, when someone's saying do this, whether you're like, you know, you might be like, it doesn't vibe with,
Yeah.
you know, so
Unless you really respect that person.
Well, sure.
You know, because if you disagree,
if you know that they have your best
know?
interest in mind,
Yeah.
but, I mean, unless it's someone like you really trust
Yeah.
outside of
Yes.
the music world, like
Totally.
you're not going to find that with some suit in a
No,
record company.
I don't think so.
You're fucking not.
I'm
telling you,
I would agree with that.
you are not. There are people like that in your life that could be like,
It's not
hey,
the
do
suit
this.
though. Like suits can be cool, but like they have to, I think, be like a little rough. Like if there's not like a little weird stain somewhere on that or whatever, I'm suspicious. You know, it's like
suits are cool.
How
if
long
there's
have
a
you had
curry
that?
stain on the front? Like a cigarette
cigarette burn,
you know?
like a
Yeah.
little fray somewhere. It's like, okay, that thing's seen some action. Like
Yeah.
that could be cool.
It could be cool, but like for the most part, like,
Yeah.
But again, having that freedom to be like, I'm gonna figure out, but you know, most people don't even get to the point where they can say, hey, this is what I want.
Yeah.
You know, and
It's
especially
tough.
like in a band, especially taking however start with like a basic band of like 3 to 5 people.
Yeah.
It's 3 to 5 people that have to decide exactly what they want, and
Yeah.
exactly what they want has to match up with everybody else.
Yes.
Because if you're in a band and you want to tour all the time, and somebody else is like, let's just tour a couple months out of the year and then take a rest,
Yeah.
right there, friction.
That's
and like,
challenging.
it's wild. Like,
It's challenging.
so people
you
don't
know-
understand how hard it is to be in a band on the road.
It's so true. It's so true. And you know, ultimately, I think if you look at it from the perspective of how do we have the shared vision, being on the same page about it, talking about it early and often, you know, that's really key. And then there's also the fact of like, if you just feel like really inspired to do something, I would just tell anyone, it's like, just do it. Because, you know, even if you don't know exactly where it's going to go and you don't have the most crystal clear vision, like we're all part of some tapestry.
And
it's like,
and
you don't know where
also
it's going to go.
Don't worry about like the level at which you're coming out with. Like, don't worry
Yeah.
about being a fucking pro right out of the gate.
100%.
Because like you have to go through the steps. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And if you're like, I've never been in a band before, but I want to, and you go through the steps at
Yeah.
home of learning to play the guitar and learning to sing and learning to write, and then you go out and you play a show and you're like, oh my God, that was awful. I quit.
So bad.
Like, can you imagine?
A
You
bunch
know
of
what I
people
mean?
are
It's
just like, that was the
it's-
worst
it's-
thing I've
but it's
ever
like-
heard,
It's
kid.
like, no. You're gonna suck. Like, you
Yeah,
have to play.
that's
like,
great.
You have to play those gigs.
Yeah.
And you're like, that was terrible, but it's hard to use that to be like, that was terrible.
So
Here's
true.
what I'm going to do different.
The pain.
And then you go out and you're like, that was terrible, but it was a little less terrible.
a little bit.
A little bit. And then after like 10 gigs, you're like, I'm in my stride. By
This
the
is
time you
something.
hit 20 or 30 gigs,
Right.
which, you know, could be a fucking year.
Yeah.
This could all happen in the short of span of a year.
Yeah.
You could be road ready. You know?
Totally.
You could be like, yeah, I sucked a year ago. And I just, you know, worked through it.
That's an impressive time span. I would say it's like, you know, if you really love, you gotta love it. You gotta love it, because that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you, no matter, you're gonna get every kind of feedback, and the worst feedback is very painful to get, and like, it may or may not even be true, and it may just be their perspective, or that could be very, you know, a unanimous perspective or whatever. But like, the pain you feel from that, you can either let it destroy you, or you can kind of turn it into like a little bit of a light that you can, you know, shine it, and it changes you, and it kind of makes you maybe a little bit more humble to be, you know, because really, I think if someone tells you suck, it only really hurts if you think you're something great, if you think you're all that in the first place. And you kind of have to believe in yourself and think that you're awesome, but like, you kind of have to know where you're coming from, you know,
Right.
for that to like not
Yeah.
be too intense.
But I think you do need to be able to take the hits.
100%.
Like, and whether you're great and whether the person is telling you that you suck knows nothing about it, like, you have to be. And I mean, even like at my age, you know, I'm I'll be 52 in the spring, and like I've been in broadcasting since I was a teenager, and like even now, like sometimes I'll get criticism of something that I'll put out, and it'll fucking hurt. You know? And I'll
it
be
does.
like,
It does. Especially
man,
when you love
you
it,
know?
right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
especially when you
Yeah,
love
like
it. So
even
much.
if it's just like a friendly little jab or whatever, I'll be like, man, that fucking stings. You know?
Yeah.
Like, so I get it. Like, as an artist, when you're putting your shit out there, the smallest little jabs are gonna sting.
It
'Cause
hurts.
You're like, that's my, you're exposing everything. So
Yeah.
but you have to take it, and
Yeah.
that's why not everybody is a professional musician.
Yeah.
Because
It's
it's a lot. It's a
it-
lot on your fucking soul.
It really is. But if you love it, and it's not about thinking that you're better, because I think when you think you're really better, that's a different.
It's detrimental.
It's a different.
Then you
frequency.
Then you have no goals.
You know?
There's no goals because you feel like you're already
Right.
there.
Yeah, but if you love it, then you're like always trying to get better, and I never really feel like you're going to be at a place where like, oh, I'm as good as I could possibly be.
And
like
you should
can
also
always get
hate
better.
it a little bit
Yeah,
because like
Yeah.
to do something you have to have that repetition.
Yeah.
And like even just like with a song, like think about
Yeah.
think about writing a song on just an acoustic guitar,
Right.
And you're like, this song is
Which is the
just going to be
best.
an acoustic guitar song. Nothing else is going to be
Sometimes, yeah.
just an acoustic guitar song. And then think of like how much like you put into that.
Yeah.
Like you put so much into it, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's like a lot of songs start that way. Just
Yeah.
an acoustic guitar, and then you can see, you could throw the acoustic guitar out by the time it's done, but
Sure.
but that's kind of what I'm saying about that unwritten thing in the book. Like you don't always see the first draft, and like it might even be a different instrument that it ends up on, or whatever. But
And
like
by the time people hear it,
Yeah.
you're fucking sick of it.
yeah,
Like for the most part, like because when you're
yeah.
presenting a song, like I said, even if it is just a simple acoustic song, by the time it's done,
Yeah.
you're like, this song is done. How many times have you played it to nobody but yourself? You
Yeah,
know
I
what I
mean,
mean, like you play it over and over, and like other people are hearing it for the very first time. And your ear is going to be a little more critical on it because you're like, this is like the 600th time that I've heard this song.
It's like, but I think if you really love it, you sometimes you have to take a break, but that's why it's so important. You gotta be like, I feel like if you're doing that's why it's so important. Do the music you love to do.
Right.
Sing the words you love to sing.
Right.
Make sure that you love it, because if something does happen and someone's like, we want you to play this 500 times in a row, like you want to be able to enjoy that and love it, And even though, but like, I think I agree with your point. Ultimately, it's like, it's like going to the gym. For me, I'm not a big gym guy. Like I'll go to the gym and smoke a cigarette in front or something. Like, but like people who go to the gym, maybe you go to the gym and it feels like, oh, I gotta go to the gym today. Like it's your thing, right? It's like I gotta go lift, or like I'll do some pull-ups and whatever. But I liked using my body as a weight. But it's like, it's that feeling. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to write a song a day, every day this month. And that's going to be my practice. And sometimes it wakes up and I wake up and I'm like, oh fuck, like I don't want to do that. Right. But like, this is what it's about. Like, I'm going to do it anyway. I still love it. You kind of have to get past, there's always going to be working past, because work is work, And people look at like, oh, being a musician, that's not a fucking job, man. It's like, let me tell you something. There's a lot to go through that's very painful and like serious. Sometimes you're lifting weights in your mind, like, and doing things that are heavy. Because work is force times distance, but thoughts have weight and they have to move places too. So, so, like, but going back to the acoustic guitar thing, right? Like, would you believe me if I told you I didn't need you anymore? Very acoustic forward song, and the acoustic really stayed front and center. But this third single, which is called Everyday Places, is started that way. Well, actually, I don't know. It's kind of a rocker. I think the first time I played the riff was on electric guitar because it's kind of a rocker tune. But it really, Robot, though, was definitely written on acoustic guitar. It was written on acoustic guitar, like outside, hilarious day, with my buddies. and my buddy was just like ripping this like just great guitar player, going nuts on the guitar, just playing like stuff that I couldn't even dream of playing. Like I was like, because I'm not really like a great guitar player in a way, you know, like I don't really view myself as like this like virtuoso guitar player. And I have so many friends that can like, you know, get every position on the neck, and I'm like watching, and then I'm like, and you know, he's like, oh, I just wrote this, and I was like, okay, man, well, I can write a song, you know, right here too. And I grabbed the guitar and I just played this like gang, 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 like the most basic kind of dumb riff. And that's why I kind of wrote it off for so many years, because it was such a bullshit riff. But then again, you know, when someone like in my band was like, this is so fun to play and we really like it, I was like, well, you know, let's make it into something. So, you know, you just never know how an idea can like change a time, or like when its time is, you know, or when it comes to fruition.
Right. Is that the song that we're going to hear next?
Next song is Everyday Places. So this one is a really special track. Did a great music video for it, which we shot with like some old school kind of camcorders and stuff, getting into analog gear. I really like analog stuff. I mean, in this world of like electronic music, I feel like it's a rebellion to like so much popular music and live performances have gone to be like basically like someone just like pressing play in a computer. And for me, it's like I really love electronica, love it. We use drum machines and cool, you know, synthesizers with like sequences and different parts and stuff like that. It's like nothing against it. And I have a lot of great friends that are awesome DJs, producers, and, you know, super love that. I'm not, you know, throwing shade on it. But for us, we like that human feel and like, you know, like able to improvise and stuff. So I guess, yeah. So Everyday Places, though, I don't know where I was going with the whole, I don't know what I guess that's kind of the robot wants to cut your corn. It's like, oh, you know, watch out. But it's like, I guess you could interpret that many ways, you know. Also, it might want to help you because the corn is a very important crop, actually. So, but with Everyday Places, this is a song that is like totally rock and roll. It's got some cool drum machine bits in it, but it kind of goes into this emotion of just like trying everything you can do to make the world around you better, but like the struggles that come along with that and the obstacles that get put in your way. And it's got this really fun like look in my eyes line, which people love, which kind of plays into the upper record and some of like the album covers and stuff like that. So yeah, this one is pretty much just our rocker tune. We kind of got like the bouncy one, and then the serious kind of somber, but then punk, like really emotional one. And then this is kind of like a nice rock tune.
All right, let's check out Everyday Places, Airdrifters. We'll be right back to wrap it up.
I wanna make the world a better place. The job keeps getting harder every day. People putting obstacles in the way. We persevere with the digging it takes. Staying in the moment to uncover good things and the support we need. Got some details to realize. Love the way you look in my eyes. Look in my eyes. Look in my eyes, look in my eyes. I'm grateful when I wake up. A man must do what a man wants. You only get so many shots. I'm grateful when I wake up. A man must do what a man wants. You only get so many shots. 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 Every day, it still feels like the first time. The thought of sailing away. so much. I love you all today. I hope I have another chance to do it again. Staying in this moment, never ever pretend. Yo, get your lady close, take off all clothes. With the microphone, you had to cry and now this is what we do, so let's make it go all night. Get that fucking going, keep that persevere with the diggings. It still feels as the first time, but now somewhere I keep on loving you, even if it has to be from somewhere far away. From somewhere far away. From somewhere
All right, that was Everyday Places, the Airdrifters. And Max, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come up here and do this with me. Really
Thanks,
appreciate it. And before you go...
Max Lee, that's me.
Max Lee, that is you. But before you go, like I do with all my guests, I just want to give you a chance to say what I refer to as your gratitude. So microphone is all yours.
Wow. I feel like this is always the hardest part because the list is so infinitely long. But I'll start it off with you, Andy. Andy Scullin, the man. Thanks for having me at Unsigned518. This is so cool. I'm like way out of my element here. This is not what I always do, is doing this kind of thing. But this has been a supernatural, amazing chat, and I feel super comfortable. This place is cool, the Dazzle Den.
Thanks.
Full of cool lights and vibes and ideas. So I love what you do, and I'm grateful for it because, you know, a lot of my friends love what you do too. And yeah, I'm going to thank my mom because I love my mom, and I'll come back to that. My dad, sometimes he gets a thank you, but you know, yeah. And my band members, everyone has been a part of this project, you know? I mean, wow, it's just like, this is such a big dream, and it's so tough to come to grips with like all the things in reality that like try to make the things you dream of harder to do. And every single person who's taken even just a shred of time, even if you just like liked a post or you showed the song to your friend or like whatever it might be, you know, it just, I can't speak enough, you know, invite us to play. You know, I got my friends who run our open mic that we go to at the Dale, like Faith Kelly, Caslin Moon, you know, freaking Tony, he's been playing drums with us for like over a year. You know, I've got my buddy Ryan to thank. I got, you know, freaking Ronnie. I got Alex, Dan, and you know, who else? I guess I got Greg to thank. I've got Jim, and wow, it just keeps on going. AJ, I said a bunch of people's names twice, but that's totally fine. And you know, I'm grateful to the universe too. Just the opportunity to be able to do any of this stuff, the opportunity to wake up in the morning is a gift, and I view that as a gift. So I'm just grateful to, you know, be here and be able to do this. And sometimes I don't even know why the hell I do this or how I even got started with it, but it's all I can do, really. So at this point, and you know, I'm so grateful. And again, to my mom, because she's amazing. Yeah.
Well, he is Max Lee of the Airdrifters. I'm Andy Scullin. This is Unsigned518. I'll see you on the road. Unsigned518 is produced and hosted by me, Andy Scullin. New episodes are available every week wherever you stream podcasts. If you would like to help support the show, please like and subscribe wherever you are listening. Or you could buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/unsigned518. If you would like to advertise on the show, send me an email at unsigned518@gmail.com. And to be a guest on the show, reach out to me through Instagram at unsigned518. Take care of one another, and I'll see you next week.